The DCAU consists of multiple shows and movies, and throughout its run, several heroes have been introduced, so I figured I'd do a tier ranking. Not every single hero is included on this list, because that'd basically be impossible. I just included the heroes that the universe focuses on, and some that are just standouts and are very memorable, at least in my mind. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. This is in alphabetical order, so first up is Aquaman. I absolutely love this version of Aquaman. The Aquaman with the hook for the hand is absolutely epic. This Aquaman is badass. Very memorable. But with that, he didn't get much screen time, so that's what bumps him down a bit. If he had done more, he'd probably be higher. And some of these characters didn't get as much screen time as they could have because there were embargoes all over the place once the show got to Justice League Unlimited. But I'm going to put Aquaman in the B tier. He didn't do much, but what he did do was very memorable. Next up, Barda. So, Big Barda, she was only in like one episode of Justice League Unlimited that was just okay. She's not super memorable in that episode, but she's pretty memorable in the episode of Batman Beyond called The Call. She's one of the more memorable parts of that episode other than Terry, Bruce, and Superman, of course. And Warhawk is also pretty memorable. But I didn't really like her in part 1 of that, but she came around in part 2, and I started to really like her character. So, same as Aquaman, really. She didn't get much, but she was pretty good. I'm a little more negative on her than Aquaman, so I'm going to put her in a C tier. She's a perfectly average character. Batgirl, she was introduced late in Batman the Animated Series, had quite a bit to do in the new Batman adventures, stand out in Batman Beyond Return of the Joker, of course, the flashback scene. Over the Edge, one of the best episodes, focuses on her, so I'm going to put her in the B tier. I think she's just above average. She's not quite as good as some of these other characters. Batman is an easy S tier. He started the entire universe. He's consistently written throughout, and he's written well. Kevin Conroy is the best Batman. This is the best adaptation of Batman. He connects all these shows. Without him, the DCAU probably wouldn't even be a thing. So, of course, he's in the S tier. Batman Beyond. Now, this show made me really believe that Terry Mcginnis was the only person that could become Batman after Bruce Wayne. Everyone remembers Return of the Joker because of the flashback scene, but Terry is amazing in that movie, and all you need is that movie to see that he is Batman. Maybe not as much as Bruce as Batman, but he is Batman. He's the only other person that could become Batman. Terry Mcginnis is an S tier for me. I absolutely love his character. Batwoman. Now, she's only in Mystery of the Batwoman. I only included her because she's in a movie and she's the focus of that movie. With that said, she's 3 different characters. Spoilers, and I don't really like any of those characters, I'm just going to be honest. The best thing about that movie was the mystery, not Batwoman as a character, so I'm going to put her in the F tier because in terms of DCAU characters, she really is not that good. Black Canary was awesome in Justice League Unlimited, definitely a standout from that show. Everything with her and Green Arrow and their interactions with Huntress and the Question are just amazing. I love the Green Arrow and Black Canary dynamic in Justice League Unlimited, one of the best parts of that show, so I don't know if she's quite A tier. I'm going to put her in the B tier. Captain Atom, okay, I had no idea who Captain Atom was before Justice League Unlimited, and the show focuses on him quite a bit. Well, I wouldn't say focus, because he's more in a lot of other characters' main plot, and he's kind of a side character in their plot, so he's not really the focus of anything, and I don't really like... Of course, he was, like, in the military or whatever, so once the U.S. asked him to do something, he follows it. Like, that's first and Justice League is second, and that's something I really didn't like about his character. I think he should be loyal to the Justice League first. So that's why I'm going to put him in the C tier. I think he's just average, really. He's definitely not a bad character, but not an amazing character either. Dr. Fate, really, same thing with him. I like him more than Captain Atom and Barda, but not as much as Aquaman or Batgirl, just because he didn't get a lot to do, similar to Aquaman, but I didn't think he was as good as Aquaman. Dr. Fate is definitely a cool character, but he didn't leave as much of an impact as some other characters did. Another standout of Justice League Unlimited, Green Arrow. He's the first new member of the Justice League we see. He opens the show, and the Justice League are recruiting him. Really awesome moment, and of course, like I said, his dynamic with Black Canary is amazing. I'm not really going to repeat myself with the stuff I said about Black Canary. Everything that applied to her applies to him as well. I kind of liked him a little more, though. I think he did a little more. I felt like he was in more episodes, of course, because he was in a few episodes before he really started to connect with Black Canary. But great character. I'm putting him in the A tier. Oh, and of course, the speech he gives at the end of Divided We Fall is absolutely epic. And now that I think about it, I do like Black Canary more as a character than Aquaman and Batgirl. I think she's closer in terms of character to Green Arrow, so I'm actually going to move her up to the A tier. Okay, one of the newest characters introduced into the DCAU, Jessica Cruz. I definitely don't think she's as good as Jon Stewart. I love Jon Stewart a lot more. But she was okay as a Green Lantern. I hate the Mary Sue moment in Justice League versus the Fatal Five, so that kind of impacts her character a little for me. And of course, she lets the Fatal Five into the maximum prison of the Green Lantern Corps or whatever. So I don't love her character. I know a lot of people really like her character, but I'm going to put her in the C tier. I think she's average. There were some things about her I really liked, some I didn't. I didn't really connect to her that much. Like I said, I like Jon Stewart a lot more. He is my Green Lantern. I grew up with him. I like him more than any other Green Lantern. And he is the character that makes me like the Green Lantern. Like, the Green Lanterns aren't super interesting to me, but I'm still somewhat interested in them because of his character. He has some great moments throughout. His dynamic with Hawkgirl in Justice League, and then later on his dynamic with Vixen and also Shahira, the love triangle, very memorable. I'm putting Green Lantern in the A tier. I think Hawkgirl is definitely better in the original Justice League than she is in Justice League Unlimited, but I don't think she's bad in Unlimited. But I think she's a standout in Justice League. She's really well written, and the long game of her being a spy is absolutely great. One of the best moments in the entire DCAU. So I'm going to put her in the A tier. I think she's a really good character. Hawkman. Okay, I didn't like him nearly as much as Hawkgirl. He was only in 2 episodes, but he was the center of those 2 episodes, and they involved core members of the Justice League. The first one involved Batman, second one Green Lantern. So I felt like I needed to include him, but he's not bad per se like Batwoman is, but I don't think he's as good as... I think he's below average, so I'm going to put him in the D tier. I don't think he compares to characters like Dr. Fate. I really like Huntress's backstory, and her dynamic with the Question is probably my favorite dynamic in Justice League Unlimited. Also really like that she's willing to cross boundaries that really no one else is, and that eventually leads her to getting kicked out of the league. And the whole episode with her going rogue is a great episode, one of the best of the show. She is in the A tier. Martian Manhunter would be S tier for me, but I have a couple trip-ups with this character. He's just way too weak at times, gets taken out way too easily. And he falls for stuff he really shouldn't fall for. Stuff that's clearly fake, but he believes it anyway, falls for it. So just some minor trip-ups I have with him that prevents him from getting into the S tier. Which is why I'm putting him in the A tier. Mr. Terrific. Really before Justice League versus the Fatal Five, he was just controlling the Watchtower, like controlling the teleporter and stuff like that. And he was a fine character. He didn't have a lot of dialogue in Justice League Unlimited. And he was awesome in Justice League versus the Fatal Five. The usage of the T-Spears was epic. I don't think he's as good as another character I'm about to get to, but I liked him as much as Jessica Cruz, maybe a little more, but I'm not going to put him in a tier above. I'm going to put him in the C tier. Dick Grayson started off as Robin in Batman the Animated Series, became Nightwing in the new Batman Adventures. I really love that transition. He becomes Nightwing. He started off as Robin. We got to see both of them. Robin's Reckoning, amazing story. We got to see his origin, fully fledged out. His dynamic with Batman is great. His dynamic with Barbara is amazing. The dynamic he has with Tim in the new Batman Adventures is great. I wish we would have saw more of him, but I don't think he was in Justice League or Justice League Unlimited because of an embargo. So I think it's unfair to put him in a tier below because of that. So I'm going to put him in the S tier. Tim Drake was a welcome replacement to Dick Grayson. He was a pretty good Robin. I really like his dynamic with Superman, actually, in episode Nighttime. His dynamic with Bruce and Barbara are good, too. I don't think his dynamic with those two were as good as Dick's was, but I think he's as good as Batgirl is. He's above average. I really love the story in Return of the Joker. I won't spoil that for anyone that has not seen that movie. Go watch it, please. But Tim Drake is in the B tier for me. Starboy was my favorite part of Justice League versus the Fatal Five. I think he was quite a bit better than Jessica Cruz, but I can't bring myself to put him in the A or S tier just because I liked him, but I just wish I would have saw him in more, and sadly we won't be seeing him in more, so I'm going to put him in the B tier. Stargirl, a pretty minor character overall in the DCAU, but she's memorable to me. I remember her in the show. I remember her in Justice League Unlimited. She's one of the more memorable minor characters in that show. I don't think she's bad by any means. I wouldn't say she's great because she didn't really get a lot to do. So I'm going to put her in the C tier. I think she's perfectly average. Static. Okay, I have not seen Static Shock. I've seen like one episode, scenes here and there, but I've seen him in Justice League Unlimited, Future Static, and Future Static is absolutely awesome, which is why I felt I could incorporate him onto this list, because I feel like I have enough of a grasp of his character to do so. And I'm going to put him in the B tier. I think he's just above average. He seems kind of annoying in the show, but he was a teen at the time, and what teen isn't annoying at times? So yeah, B tier. Supergirl, she was introduced in Superman the Anime series, but I feel like she didn't really get a whole lot to do until Justice League Unlimited. She had stuff to do in Superman the Anime series, but she just always kind of felt like she was just there, aside from her introduction episode, which did focus on her. But in Justice League Unlimited, she's involved in the plotline against Cadmus and her clone, which is pretty cool, the fight scenes with her, and I don't remember the clone's name, I'm sorry, but that was pretty awesome. And then eventually, when she goes into the future, she joins the Legion of Superheroes. So I don't really think she had an overall arc throughout, but she was still a good character, so I'm going to put her in the B tier. I don't think she's amazing, but above average. This is my favorite version of Superman, just like Batman. I think this is, if there is a definitive version of Superman, this is probably it. A lot of people say Christopher Reeve. I haven't seen those movies because they're pretty dated. But if you think it's Christopher Reeve, awesome. It might be. But this is my Superman. And the only problem I have with Superman is Season 1 of Justice League. And that's on the writing. That's not on Superman. That was not Superman. It's not Superman's fault that the writing was awful for him. So I'm putting Superman in the S tier. He started this universe along with Batman. The Atom, another pretty minor character overall. He was pretty memorable in the beginning stages of Justice League Unlimited, though. He was in two pretty memorable episodes of the show, The Return and Darkheart, and he was at the center of those shows. I like his dynamic with Lex Luthor and The Return, but, you know, he didn't really get a whole lot to do, which is why I can't really put him above the C tier. I think he's average, maybe just above average. I really liked his character. I just wish I would have seen more of him. Oh, the Question. I think he was the breakout character of Justice League Unlimited. Putting my Batman bias aside, I think the Question may have been my favorite character in Justice League Unlimited. He was absolutely awesome. Everything to do with him was amazing. There weren't really any bad episodes of Justice League Unlimited, but even the lesser episodes of Justice League Unlimited, if the Question was in it, his scenes were absolutely epic. And just the way other leakers talk about him, it's awesome. They call him a nutcase and stuff like that. He doesn't even care. And, of course, his relationship with Huntress, it probably is my favorite relationship in the entire DCAU. The Question is S tier. He's a standout character in the DCAU, and probably my favorite character in Justice League Unlimited. Flash was played as comic relief a lot, but he was a very important member of the League, and there are two episodes that really showcase that. A Better World, which shows an alternate version of the Justice League, the Justice Lords. They basically form a dictatorship because their Flash dies, so their Flash was what was keeping them morally correct. And then in Divided We Fall, he stops the Luthor Brainiac hybrid, which is maybe one of the best. It's definitely one of the best moments. It might be the best moment in Justice League Unlimited. Maybe the best moment in the entire DCAU. I don't know. It was epic. The Flash is S tier. Vixen, she took over as the love interest to Jon Stewart after he and Hawkgirl split up, and Hawkgirl wasn't really in Justice League Unlimited until the 10th episode or so. And her dynamic with Jon is pretty cool. Outside of that, she doesn't do too much. Like, everything she's involved in usually involves Jon. I think she may be in an episode or two when she's not with him. But I'm going to put her in the C tier because really she just felt like Jon's new love interest and not like her own character, really. I absolutely love Warhawk, and he's not in a lot of episodes throughout the DCAU, but he's in some of the most memorable. He's in the call where we are introduced to him, and I'm pretty sure they call him Rex Stewart, and already setting up that Stewart has a kid with Shahira, which was awesome. And he's probably my favorite character other than Terry and Bruce in the call. Also, he's in the Once and Future Thing, which is one of my favorite episodes of Justice League Unlimited, and that moment where he just looks at Green Lantern and says, "Dad," is absolutely awesome. One of the most shocking moments in the entire DCAU, even though it was already set up in Batman Beyond. Although he didn't do much, I absolutely love the character. I wish we'd have saw more. I'm putting him in the B tier. I think he is an above average character. Finally, we have Wonder Woman. I don't think she really did anything super important or anything, but her relationship and dynamic with other leaguers is absolutely amazing, especially Batman and Martian Manhunter. Her and Batman's dynamic is probably my second favorite in Justice League Unlimited, next to The Question and Huntress. But she does have some little memorable moments throughout the DCAU Justice League, especially hereafter once Superman gets transported to another world or whatever, and everyone thinks he's dead, when she's just holding Toyman, and you can tell in her eyes that she's gonna murder him. But Flash stopped her, may I add, another thing that makes Flash amazing. But yeah, she's a good character. I don't really think she did way too many standout things, but just her dynamic with other characters is absolutely epic. So I'm gonna put her in the A tier. It would just feel wrong to put her a tier below the original Leaguers. So I kind of rearranged the list so it'd be more indicative of my actual ranking of these characters. But let me know what you thought about the video. Let me know your tier ranking down in the comments below. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys sometime.